Hi everyone, and welcome back to The Nest. This week we are without a backdrop, so I'm just going to give you my company logo. Keith Harbaugh shares a flight around the circuit in his FP-606 Skybaby, and Algy Yates works some more on his wing hardware and control block surfaces, and they'll be with you right after these messages from our sponsors.
This is Fisher Flying Products. I'm Dave Hartner. Welcome to The Nest. Our video newsletters provide weekly insight into building and flying our 15 wooden aircraft designs. Polini Motori of Italy is a gracious sponsor of our channel.
Polini's the manufacturer of the Thor 303 DS.
Cozy Carb Ice Prevention Systems is a proud sponsor of this channel as well. Please take the time to watch our videos to the end, as this assists us in the metrics that YouTube uses to rate our channel. Hit the like button if you feel that the content is worthy. We invite you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hitting the bell so that you are notified whenever we post our newsletters.
Hi and welcome to the channel. In these videos I show my build of a Fisher Youngster biplane kit, and it's not meant to be instructional, but it's meant for you to have a bit of entertainment seeing how I go about building this aircraft, and hopefully get a few hints and tips that might help you out to build your own aircraft. Let's face it, if I can do it, you can do it. So what have I been carrying out this week? I have made up my front spar jig. This should do both front spars. It's 98 inches long, and according to the plan I only need 96 inches, so there's a couple of inches to there. The tapered bit of course doesn't need the jig, and it's 5 3/4 inches wide all the way along from one end to the other, as checked by a vernier gauge, and by precision straight edge it's straight. So there we go, that's ready for me to start assembling the spar. On this side here, you might be able to just pick up, I'm not sure, looks a bit better with the shade there. There's tape going across there, and there's tape on this face here, and what I'll do is I'll lay the plywood in, bond the cap strip to one side. Once that's cured I can turn the whole thing over and then bond the cap strip to the other. This tape is blade tape from my time working on Wessex. So we've got rotor tape and tail rotor tape being used. It's a little bit past its sell-by date for aircraft use, but it should be good as a sort of release to stop anything from bonding itself to the table. What else have I been up to? Well, last video I was making the bell cranks. Here I've made up the blocks. These blocks are these little fellows that go in here, there, and there is in close detail. As you'll note, I have taken the corners off, as it says here, optional. I didn't see much point in having the corners there. Looking at the drawing, it looks like that hole should be offset to one side, but it says 3/8 of an inch to that position there, and it's only 3/4 of an inch wide, so it's right bang in the middle. As probably shown on one of the other views, if I recall, that one there, that view there, you can see that it's straight through. And the pin or tube which is used for the bell crank is held in place by a piece of plywood top and bottom. I'll actually utilise that system. There's no way of actually removing the pin out the top. It's you can sort of see it here, it sort of shows it in the sort of central position here. The drawing, it sort of looks like it's offset below. There's not enough room for the pin to come out the top to change the bell crank during a service. So should that ever need to happen, it'll be a case of take off the plywood piece that's holding the pin in and slide the pin out to take it out, so it'll all be done from below. You couldn't get to the top to undo any sort of fasting there, so it seems like a good system. You sort of see I've marked up they're in pairs, so sort of starboard pair and a port pair. They were match drilled. Nothing really spectacular, it's just 3/4 inch wood with 1/8 inch aircraft grade ply top and bottom, bonded on with T88 and then drilled through, and the inside of the hole there has been soaked with CA, super glue, for those who don't understand cyanoacrylate. It's been soaked into there just to harden it, and then it was reamed 1/4 inch, so it's a precise size hole. Hopefully that's good. Now for another one of my changes in life. The pivot for the aileron is here, and it's held on by number 6 532 screws, so it's just wood screwed into the ply. And from looking at the plan, this is on the exposed side of the plywood, so you can see it, so you could undo it, I suppose, and replace the bearing. That bearing there is just all says bearing material, but elsewhere I found it to be Lexane. I'm not keen on straightforward plastic bearings like that. I found in the past that they distort, they can wear, and the worst bit is I've found them become brittle and crack up, and I've found that on a couple of aircraft in the past where they've used it. So typical of me, I'm making changes. So I've made up these aluminium plates. They're yet to be countersunk. They've got 4mm holes in. They're going to be countersunk for aircraft grade 4mm countersunk bolts. And rather than just being a screw going into the wood, it's going to go right the way through the plywood. And on the other side will be an anchor nut. So you'll be able to undo these to remove them. And then you can sort of see massive great hole, that's more than a quarter, and that's to take these bearings here. These are sealed ball bearings with a shoulder on them. Hopefully that's showing up okay on the video. So they can't be pushed through, and the holes in the centre of the plates has been reamed to be an interference fit. So these will be pressed in. I've already had a go with a sample. There's my sample, and 250 kilograms of force to press it in, 125 kilograms of force to take it out. But even should that become loose in there, it can't escape because of the way the system's set up. So all the pins go from the outboard end of the wing inboard, all the pivot pins, so the force is being forced that way. The bearing will be being forced into the plate with a little spacer between this nut here and the end face of the bearing, so there will be a small collar going onto there, so the race can't escape. And should the bearing break up for any reason internally, it still shouldn't be able to escape. Now this, the specification on these bearings are they can take 300 kilograms of radial force and 150 kilograms of axial force at 3000 RPM before they break up. Well, we're not going to be moving ailerons that fast, and the forces involved are going to be nowhere near that high. My calculations on a number 6 screw in plywood would state that it would only be able to cope with 150 kilos of side force anyway. So these bearings will do far more than that. The bolts in there will be able to do far more than that. So hopefully shouldn't be a problem. And as I said, you can sort of see these are shouldered, so they can't escape no matter what happens there. So that's my modification for the ailerons. Nothing wrong with this system. Nobody's had any faults or failures to my knowledge, looking at it. They're about 1.25 inches. I have gone out to 1.5 inches just to give the sufficient edge allowance and for the countersunk head screws. It's my personal thing. I'm not saying that anybody should do it this way. It's just the way, as you already see, I do some modifications. The extra weight, yes, this is costing me some weight. It's costing me a hole including the weight of the screws, 3/4 of an ounce extra weight. So I don't think we can really complain about that. If I ate one less burger, I'd be saving even more weight. So I'm not complaining, although I do like to every little ounce or gram here and there does make a difference. Sometimes we need to look at things very slightly differently and add a little bit of weight to make it just last a little bit longer. And for marking out these points, I used a special tool which I've had for a long time. I'll show you that. But the actual fabrication of this was no different to the fabrication that I used for the Aileron bell crank assembly work there. So this is my optical spot-on optical center punch. I've had this for years and years. This bit is the bit you use. It's got a grippy section to hold onto whatever item it is so it doesn't slide. And then we've got two different types of target point there. I don't know how well that will show up. You've got one there that's got a like a dot with a circle around it, and one there which has got crosshairs on it, which is my preferred version. You stick that down the hole, and the top here is domed slightly, so you end up with it being magnified. So that might show up in the camera. You can see the crosshairs at the bottom, which is nice. Once you've got that in the position you want it to be, you can remove, without sliding the base, I'm doing this single-handed so it's not how I normally do it, but you can remove that, and then we've got two different center punches, one fairly blunt one and one fairly acute one. You could slide that then straight down the hole, hit it with the hammer, and it gives you a center punch exactly where the crosshairs were before. Found it extremely accurate method of center marking stuff. Used to use a similar item when I was in the Air Force. I think my father got me this one. It's probably about 20 years old or more now. So that is all I've done this week. Plans for next week, I'm going to make up hopefully some drilling jigs for these, just on a piece of plain steel, which I'll then heat up and harden. So hopefully be able to show you what they look like, and if I manage to get round to it, I'll countersink the bearing blocks and get those painted, ready to be fitted at some stage when we have a wing built, and I'll put those into storage along with the bell cranks. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye now.
Thanks again for watching. We try hard to bring you interesting content each week. To help us out, please like and share our videos if you feel the content is worthy. To receive the latest info from Fisher Flying Products, click the subscribe button and ring the bell. See you next time in the nest.